Much to my dismay, my father arranged for me to marry my cousin, Mullah Muhammad Barghani, when I was 14 years old. In accordance with the customs of the day, the marriage took place and we moved to Atabad for my husband to further his studies. We lived in Karbala most of the time. We had 3 children. My husband was a strict Shiite. This put an ideological rift between us in that I was drawn to the progressive ideals of Shaikhi thought championed by Sheikh Ahmed and Syed Kazim Irashti, who were also awaiting the declaration of the Promised One. I initiated study circles. Those imbued with the message became known as Qurratu'l, a name derived from the holy title Syed Kazim bestowed upon me. He called me Qurratu'l Ayn, or solace of the eyes. It was during this period that I had a profound dream of a young man. In the dream I called to him and said, "It is now time to begin our mission," and he answered with mystical verses which I penned down when I awoke. In 1843, after 14 years of marriage, due to our difference in thought and destiny, I left my family and set out for Atabad with my sister Marziah. Nothing could stop me from fulfilling my sacred purpose. Along the way, many people became attracted to the teachings which filled their hearts with hope for progress. I am the Word. This continuous flow of revelation will always be available to humankind. I promoted self-gnosis and mystical understanding for the individual. My teachings encouraged radical thinking, such as monogamy, which was unusual at the time because the law allowed for 4 wives. My teachings also advised abstinence from eating meat, and I favored raw foods. I stressed that it was time for inner knowledge to guide people as they listened to the spirit within, balanced with rational thought. This teaching was known amongst the mystics as the secret key. Many began to refer to me as the return of Fatima, who on one level was considered the mother of creation. Therefore, many called me Mother of the World. I declared myself as the point of divine knowledge, a title my followers, the Qurratu'l, acclaimed. I received some writings by a man bearing the title of the Bab, which means the gate. These revelations were about the story of Joseph. He declared his mission on May 23, 1844, the very year that many religions around the world were expecting the return of the Promised One. To my great joy, I found that those writings contained the very verses I had heard in my dream. I immediately dispatched a letter to him saying I recognized him as the promised Qaim, and he responded by naming me the 17th letter of the living. In time, he would sometimes refer to himself as Qurratu'l Ayn also, in order to show our divine connection. My movement and his overlapped. We wrote to one another as divine lovers, although we never met in the physical reality. We were the twin stars whose missions were interconnected. This truth was reflected in the heavens through the fabulous appearance of the double comet Biela and the discovery of Sirius being twin stars. So it was that when 18 letters of the living had independently sought out the Bab, together with him they would form the primal point or gate to the future. I was the only woman among the 18 letters of the living. The Bab was previously known as Syed Ali Muhammad. His followers were called Babis. Because the Bab made his messianic claim, persecutions began and he was imprisoned. I called for a gathering of the believers to discuss Babism being known as an independent religion and to effect the freeing of the Bab. Mirza Hussain Ali Nuri, who later took the title of Baha'u'llah and began the Baha'i faith, helped organize the event. 81 of us gathered in the 3 adjoining gardens. This meeting, which lasted over a period of 3 months in the summer of 1848, has become well known as the Conference of Badasht. It was my destiny to play a leading role at the Conference of Badasht. Many times, the Bab had instructed the believers to submit to my injunctions, because at this stage they did not fully comprehend my status. As a result, many of my writings and teachings were incorporated into the doctrine of Babism. Nevertheless, I held my teachings in their own right, as the inspiration for the new age. Let deeds, not words, be your adorning. Because religious leaders who felt threatened by me spread malicious rumours of immorality about me, the Bab had bestowed upon me the title of Tahirih, meaning pure one. Thus I became known as Tahirih Qurratu'l Ayn. Under the influence of Qudus, a letter of the living, many of the Babis still held affiliation with the Islamic Shiite sect. However, the time had come when we must make the final break and sever all ties with Islam and become an independent religion. Thus, one evening at the conference, I appeared before Qudus and many of the followers, and as a sign that women must have freedom and choice, I unveiled.
I am the trumpet. I am the blast. I am the word, the primal word, the word which animates the promised one. I am the word which will set aflight the chiefs and nobles of the world. Like Gabriel, I awaken souls.
Antum al-nujum fi sama il-iftihan, wa al-nasim al-liyan samu fi shuraq al-nahar, wa al-mayahal Saraya al-li hayatu kula al-misai, wa al-rijali tata kilu halayha. I ended my oratory with this prophetic verse from the Quran.
Verily, among gardens and rivers shall the pious dwell, in the seat of truth, in the presence of the Creator.
Such an act of unveiling thwarted 1,200 years of patriarchal practice and belief, which fractured all that had been known. So it was that the Conference of Badasht marked the time of establishing Babism as an independent religion, which could no longer be identified with Islam or any other faith. The conference also signaled the ending of the old order. The Bab's writings, in the Holy Book of Bayan, with the pen of divine authority, affirmed what Tahirih claimed at the Conference of Badasht. Indeed, the Bab and Tahirih, who animated his spirit, were as twin messianic figures, two bodies in one singularity of the primal point. Together their appearance marks the beginning of the close of the patriarchal cycle and the opening of the gate to the future civilization of harmony and balance. In moving towards cooperation between the genders, we can only imagine what the world could have become if Tahirih and the Bab had been recognized as the powerful twin manifestations that they were in their own right, in their own time.